Hi everyone, and welcome to Foundations in Science. I'm Kalei Tak, one of the 3 instructors for this course this year. We cover pretty much everything in Foundations in Science. We start from the perspective of physics in the fall, thinking about how macroscopic objects move and interact. And then in the winter, we go microscopic and think about the same objects from the perspective of chemistry and their atomic makeups. And then in the spring, we think about how life gets involved in all of these processes and makes them even more complex and interesting. So we cover these 3 topics by treating 9 themes from each of the 3 perspectives in the context of hands-on experiments. In physics, for water, for example, we'll think about buoyancy and how objects submerged in water move and the forces that operate on them. In chemistry, we'll think about acidity and basicity and how the colors of water change depending on substances dissolved in it in the presence of an indicator. And finally, in biology, we'll think about how trees use capillary action to move water to very high heights, even higher than would be predicted by the physical laws that we study in the fall. As I said, I'm Kalei Tak. My background is in chemistry. I went to Harvard undergrad and Stanford for graduate school in chemistry. After completing a master's here, I got a second master's in the School of Education, and that's how I found my way to OHS. I've also taught for the Princeton Review for the chemistry and physics sections of the medical college admission test and robotics programs for kids. When I'm not teaching, I have 3 kids and they take up most of my time outside of the classroom. I also teach astronomy and I love to do experiments, as is shown on the right side of this slide, doing one of the experiments that you'll do for this class with several OHS instructors at the OHS offices. There are 2 other instructors for this course, Dr. Jim Doherty and Chris Oparko, and our wonderful TA, Umar Ahmed Badami, and I'll have them introduce themselves next.
Hi everybody, welcome to JS002. I'm part of the fabulous trifecta of instructors this year, and it's my first year with the course, so I'm just really excited to meet it, to work with you guys, about me, I'm originally from upstate New York, in like a rural area, so Horseheads, New York, very small. I went to college near there, and to Wisconsin for grad school. So if you're ever wondering, what is the correct team to root for during the football or basketball season, it's going to be UW. And Ohio State fans might get an A in the course, but I'm not, I make no guarantees. No, just kidding. I was more of a nerd when I was there. As a grad student, I was doing a whole lot of field work, as you can see in these photos, and I continue to really like to talk about ecology, wetlands, restoration, all this kind of stuff. If you guys are jazzed about hiking, I want to talk about that with you, and who knows what else we'll get into. So that's just a brief intro, and I'll see you all very soon.
What's up, everybody? I'm Chris Oparko, and I'm going to be one of your 3 instructors for the Foundations of Science course this semester and the following. So I'll tell a little bit about myself. I am a California resident. I've grown up in the Bay Area and then went to Sacramento area a little bit for my high school years, and I'm back in the Bay Area. I did my undergraduate at Santa Clara University, where I pursued physics and mathematics, or I love very much, but I decided to pursue physics as my kind of end goal there. So I went to University of California, Davis, where I specifically focused on cosmology. So similar to astrophysics, but we can talk about that later. And so at both schools, I did some research. At Santa Clara, I worked on solar cells. And so did a little bit more engineering perspective on that side. And so as my graduate degree, I worked in cosmology. I did more research in galaxy lensing. And so we can talk about all of that later on as you have questions, and I can explain how much I love about it and, a little bit what I got out of my research. a little bit more about myself, not in the academic sense. I love sports. I played soccer, I played wrestling, ran track, and I still continue to try to run now and play soccer. I also love baking. I have myself a KitchenAid mixer where I try to mix up all these kind of things and bake cookies and cupcakes and all this kind of mixture of things. And more recently, I got along with gardening. So I moved into a new place and try to renovate the little front yard. So I'm trying to learn more about flowers and what I can do to not kill them. So I'm trying to get that green thumb. And also, I like sewing. That's the last little thing right there. So I would love to get to meet all of you just as much as you get to know about me. So hopefully we have a great and awesome year. I can't wait to get started. All right.
Hi, I'm Omar, your TA for Foundations in Science. In this class, you'll be investigating scientific principles and making observations through a series of super exciting experiments. This class isn't like a regular class where it's all about textbook learning. Instead, you'll be having a ton of fun doing some really cool labs. You'll be throwing eggs, making food, growing plants, and a bunch of other stuff. Some tips for class are to do the super helpful pre-class videos in advance. A lot of the time, cramming right before class will actually make it harder to understand the material and makes the really fun and interesting labs somewhat more difficult. Writing lab reports isn't very tedious. In fact, it's really easy and fun. The peer tutors for Foundation in Science, and yes, I'm a peer tutor too, at the Writing and Resource Center can answer many of your questions about your Foundation's labs or experiment write-ups. Some of the labs can be a bit long. In most cases, the longer the lab, the more fun it is. But to do all the fun stuff that your instructors have put in the lab, it's best to start them early so that you can enjoy them even more. If you have any questions about Foundation in Science, feel free to email me at uabadami@ohs.stanford.edu. Good luck with the course, and I'll see you in office hours.
A typical week in Foundations in Science involves reading questions completed on Sunday. This is in preparation for class, and you will come to class with questions about the readings to discuss during section. We won't be able to cover all of the topics from the readings in class, though you will be assessed on them. So that's why it's super important to bring your questions to class and make sure that we cover anything that's confusing to you in the readings. There'll be a practice quiz, which is due before the second section of the week, and a quiz at the end of the week's second section. And there will also be an experiment during the course of the week that will deepen your understanding of the course topics. The reading questions and practice quiz are meant as formative assessments, meaning that they are for your benefit. You are meant to assess yourself on those, on the reading questions and practice quizzes, and then use those to pinpoint areas of confusion to make sure that you get cleared up before the quiz, which is a summative assessment at the end of the week. You also have the option of doing quiz corrections for half credit back each week. We will be giving you feedback on your experiments and also your other work for this course. Please keep in mind that the late penalty for all assignments is 1 point per day late, and that you should screenshot all Google Forms before you submit them in case they get lost in the digital ether. We can give you credit for tech errors if you can show us that screenshot. Written feedback on labs will be returned so that you have time to incorporate that feedback before you submit your next experiment. However, we won't post the numerical grades until later. This is to encourage you to actually read the written feedback and take it seriously. Please use the Canvas calendar. All of the assignments for this course are on there now, and you should use it to help you plan when you will do your work and account for vacations and whatnot, so please make use of that resource. Please make sure that you have your experiment supplies assembled now, because not having the required materials will not get you an extension on any of the experiments in this course. Get your lab kit ordered. Pay attention to the experiment supplies list, because all of the supplies for all of the experiments that we'll do this year are posted already. So you need to look at that and plan for when you'll need what and make sure that you have it when it's needed. Make sure you know where it is and make sure that nobody accidentally throws away some of your experiment supplies. You can keep a physical notebook, but you must submit photo and video documentation every week, and those photos and videos can't be submitted as separate files or put all at the end of the document. They need to be within the document where they're relevant to your work. This is because if lab notebooks are for the purpose of documentation and being able to go back and check things, and the chances that you'll remember that IMG_3475 goes with a particular experiment that you did are somewhat remote. So that's why everything needs to be a single file that you submit for this class, and images should occur not at the end, but where they're relevant. To earn full points for engagement, you need to be contributing to class discussions at least twice every session, hopefully more. You can answer questions, you can ask questions, you can explain answers. If you have tech errors and that impacts your ability to participate, you must submit a tech form. You can't just Skype or email your instructor and say, sorry, I was having tech issues today. If you can document that you are working to get the problem fixed, we will happily refund those points. If you just send us a note, we will not. So please keep that in mind for purposes of engagement. Lots of places to get help if you're struggling with any of the topics in this course, and I encourage you to make good use of them. The class Skype group is an excellent resource. Students help each other. The instructors will respond if they're online, and if they're not, there's lots of other students who are able to help you with any topics that might be giving you problems. You can also email your instructor or come to office hours. So please make use of those resources. There are lots of them for getting help in foundations. You should attend your regularly scheduled section, but sometimes you can't. If you can't, just make sure we all know about it. You can go to one of the other sections on this slide as a visitor. We're all covering the same topics every week, and you'll have the same quizzes and assessments. So that's available if you need it to be. Please don't be afraid to take intellectual risks and make mistakes. We all do. You'll see lots of mistakes this year from other students, from your instructors, and please respect them and correct them respectfully. We want to create a learning environment where we're all happy taking intellectual risks. There are 2 exams for this course in the fall, a 1.5-hour midterm exam, which is already on your Canvas calendar, and please make note of those dates and have your registered proctor ready to proctor you for that 1.5-hour midterm exam. The final will be announced by the school later in the fall, and you should have a proctor ready for that as well. They will have 20 questions. They're minimally altered, free response versions of questions that appear on other assessments for this course. So you know what to do to study. Just look back at your quizzes, homework experiments, reading questions, and practice quizzes, and make sure that you're all set with all the answers to those. And all exams are cumulative. It's going to be a great year. Can't wait to get started. See you all in class.